When people hear the arguments for AI being an existential risk to humanity, there's usually an immediate, intuitive reaction. In my case, that reaction was, yep, that sounds about right. Others find it totally implausible. The point of this series is to dig deeper than knee-jerk reactions, but at the same time, I want to honor people's first intuitions. Earlier, I outlined the argument for AI safety as follows. 1. We are on track to build superhuman general AI in the near-ish future. 2. But we are not on track to make it reliably safe. 3. Therefore, we are on track to create something incredibly dangerous. Objections to this reasoning fall into 4 general categories, one for each of the statements in my outline, and a fourth that refuses the entire framing. The first denies that artificial general intelligence, or AGI, will be built anytime soon, or perhaps ever, and so it is too soon to bother preparing for its arrival. Or, as machine learning expert Andrew Ng likes to say, the reason I say that I don't worry about AI turning evil is the same reason I don't worry about overpopulation on Mars. Proponents of this view tend to point out tasks for which AI is not capable, past optimistic predictions about AI that have turned out to be wrong, sophistication of the human brain, and generally refer to AI as being a lot of hype. The second claims, or implies that, even if AI is built, it will be safe and beneficial by default. This argument comes in many forms. Here are a few of them. Why would an AI want to destroy us in the first place? AI is built by humans and trained on our data, and so it will naturally learn our values and treat us with compassion and respect. People and societies become kinder as they become more enlightened, so we should expect this trend to continue as AI develops into superintelligence. If value alignment is a problem, we will see signs of it early on and correct for those flaws, continuously iterating on those early designs and making them better. The third objection holds that, even if we make AGI and it doesn't have values aligned with our own, it won't be particularly dangerous. Maybe it will cause some destruction and chaos, but nothing we can't handle. One form of this objection is to ask, why can't we just unplug the AI if it starts misbehaving? Another, proposed by Robin Hanson, is that there will be lots of AIs all over the world, and no one of them will be powerful enough to implement its values to the extreme, so if one of them goes rogue, then the others will hold it in check. The fourth objection claims to oppose this entire framing. People who take this view tend to say things like, long-term AI risk is too speculative. This all sounds like science fiction. We should be focused on the immediate issues. It's too late to stop AI development, so none of this matters. This is all crazy talk. I can't take any of it seriously. There's a common theme I want to point out in all of these last statements, which carries across every example of the framing objection I've ever come across. None of them actually substitute a different framing, such as a positive argument or set of intuitions that doesn't fit into one of the first 3 objections I've described. Instead, objections of this fourth type are all really just refusals to engage with the topic at all, while also loudly engaging. This strikes me as rather inarticulate, like it is masking for some other intuitive objection that hasn't yet been brought to the surface. So, now is a good time to ask yourself, where do you stand? On first hearing these objections, which make sense, and which sound artificial? I see intuition as a broad net, and reason as being like a laser beam. Both are valuable, and a truly rational mind combines the strengths of both. If one relies entirely on reason, one can be easily tricked by anyone who is clever or prepared enough to think a few steps ahead of you. Whereas intuition, being so broad-viewed, will know that something is amiss. On the other hand, intuition, like a net, can be indiscriminate in what it picks up, and as such can also be tricked by repetition, appeals to emotion, and other biases. Reason allows one to sift through the contents of one's intuition, to keep what is valuable and discard what is not. To listen deeply to one's intuitions and bring them to the surface, one by one, and closely examine each of them in turn is the essence of good thinking. The conversation on AI needs good thinking. For too long, it has been mired in obscurity, with safety advocacy casually dismissed as science fiction. With the avalanche of top experts breaking the silence and asking for common sense regulation, this is rapidly changing. But now the conversation is in danger of falling into a new trap: polarization. The same blight that has infected almost every important conversation of our time. That's why I was really inspired by this video from Andrew Ng, the overpopulation on Mars guy from earlier, where he reached out and spoke with Yoshua Bengio, another major figure in machine learning, who has publicly claimed AI poses a serious risk to human existence. Their conversation doesn't seem like it was recorded, which is disappointing, but I assume they had their reasons. More importantly, however, it appears to have been a healthy and productive discussion. They even mention having found some common ground. I'd like to do the same. Now, I'm not an expert on machine learning, so it obviously won't have anywhere near the technical depth of a conversation between Ng and Bengio, but maybe that will also make it more accessible to a general audience. If you are interested in participating, let me know in the comments. There's only 3 requirements that I ask. 1, you're okay with being recorded. Off-record conversations are great, but I have other avenues for that, and my interest here is to create positive examples of constructive conversation. 2, you disagree with me about something. Talking to people I agree with is fun, but it's not very interesting to watch. 3, you respect the importance of process. This is the important one. A conversation is an interaction where 2 participants alternately listen, think, and speak. If any one of those is missing from either participant, the whole thing falls apart. Thanks for listening, and I hope to speak with one of you soon.